Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
I'd like to call the meeting of the City of Neenah Common Council to order, please, for Wednesday, February 6, 2019. The first item of business will be the roll call. Please answer the clerk when your name is called and sign in on the roll call machine.
Alderman Boyette. Here. Bates.
Here.
Hillstrom.
Here.
Lendrum.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Lang. Here. Steele.
Here.
Coons.
Here.
Stevenson.
Here.
Duffy.
All members are present. There's a quorum present. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Alderman Lendrum.
First time ever. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic that stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice. First time ever. Ever.
There are no mayor's appointments tonight. I am looking for a sustainable committee member potentially and a board of appeals if anyone knows of anyone who may be interested. Item number 3, approval of the council proceedings of January 16, 2019.
Move to approve.
A motion by Alderman Lendrum.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Lang to approve the council proceedings of January 16, 2019. Any comments, questions, corrections, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote no using the roll call. That motion passes 9-0. There are no public hearings, no planned commission reports. Is there a motion? Alderman Stevenson?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to move up agenda item Roman numeral 9B sub 1, report from the February 6th, 2019 Finance Personnel Committee meeting and referencing resolution 2019-05.
Second.
There's a motion, a second, to amend the agenda. Discussion? Seeing none. All in favor of the motion to amend the agenda to take up this item at this time, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That's so ordered.
All
And
right.
number 9, standing committee, the finance committee chairperson, Chairman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out from the Special Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of February 6th, 2019. Item number 1, consideration of committee recommendation regarding adoption of resolution number 2019-05, authorizing the issuance and sale of $8,825,000 general obligation promissory notes. And I so move.
A motion by Alderman Erickson.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Stevenson to adopt resolution number 2019-05, which authorizes the issuance and sale of the $8.825 million of general obligation promissory notes. Discussion. Alderman Erickson.
I would like to ask Director Easker to explain to the rest of the council and those that might be listening or viewing what this is about.
Okay.
Director Easker.
You bet. Again, we are, the city has, goes through an annual borrowing process. This year it is for capital needs, specifically facilities, equipment, TIF, streets, and pedestrian routes. The city's needs are approximately $8.8 million. The city went through a typical bidding process through our financial advisor, Robert W. Baird. This morning, bids were opened, and the city received 6 bids. with a net interest cost, a low bid, a net interest cost of 2.46%. And that is from Piper Jaffray, so they are the winning bidder. And for these promissory notes, which are, again, paid for by the city, paid off over 10 years.
Thank you.
That is, we also have John Meehan here, who is the managing director for Robert W. Baird, serving as financial advisor for the city on this issue. He's also here if there's any questions.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Got a very good rate, 2.46, correct? All right. All in favor of the motion to adopt resolution number 2019-05 will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. Thank you very much for coming, John, for your work on this. Public forum. Public forum is an opportunity for any citizen to come before the city council and speak on any item that they would like. If anyone here would like to address the common council tonight. Seeing no one, I will close the public forum. Item number 8 is the consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Motion by Alderman Lundrum,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Stevens. Any discussion? All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. There are 9 ayes, no noes. That motion passes. Item number 9A, the Public Services and Safety Committee meeting of January 29th. Chairman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor, and the minutes can be found on the city website. The committee recommends council approve the proposal from We Energies for an amendment to the Wilderness Park easement, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom. Any comments or questions on this item? Seeing none, all in favor vote aye, all opposed vote no on the roll call machine. That motion also passes 9-0.
Committee recommends council approve the proposal from Service Motor Company, Inc. for a Kubota SSV65 in the amount not to exceed $35,231.38, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Lundrum. Questions or discussion? This is slightly over the budget. Do we need a additional motion to say where those funds are coming from? That taken care of.
They were identified in committee.
Good, thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor vote aye, all opposed vote no using the roll call machine. Motion passes 9-0.
Committee recommends council approve purchase of 7 2019 Ford Police Interceptor utility vehicles, all-wheel drive, 3.7 V6, at an estimated cost of $244,503, with the cost funded through the use of borrowed funds as part of the 2019 Capital Equipment Fund budget, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom. Alderman Coons.
Thank you, Mayor. This item concerns me for a couple of different reasons. One is we haven't addressed the issue of maintenance. I know there's sometimes difficult to get the vehicles there because we're using them all the time, and so they're not getting the proper maintenance. There's the issue of keeping them, driving them 24/7. There's other districts, other departments and the places employ different techniques to do this and with different devices. I'm not the expert on that one, but it's a concerning that we at least understand that issue. Also, the issue of how we transfer from buying all these vehicles to then slowly transferring to doing, was it 2 at a time, I haven't really seen a clear plan for that. Now, maybe I missed that one, but I tried to look at the minutes, tried to find other things. So with those 3 items outstanding, I feel uncomfortable moving forward with this without a clear path for how we improve how we deal with our motor vehicles to ensure better life and all those other items. And if this was covered somewhere else that I didn't see, let me know, but I did not see that any of those items. And so that's my concern. I'm not saying we couldn't move forward with this at some point, but I think there's some investigation that should happen prior to it.
Alderman Coons, I think there was a question there. Would you like the chief to come up or deputy chief to come up and address those? Would like to do that. Deputy Chief Sievert, welcome.
Reference to the first concern that you have, one of our newer officers is actually taking over the fleet, and he's working with Rick Spoo on a consistent basis where he's making sure that on a weekly basis that if there's any small issues that they're being addressed and dealt with, we are working closer with Rick to make sure that things are being addressed on an earlier basis. Last conversation I had with Rick Spoo, with our officer who's assigned, he said that's been working more efficiently for us to be in closer communication. The officer has many years of working in the automotive industry, and he's taken a really proactive approach to this, and I've seen a significant improvement in some of the things, even the minor things like if a bulb's out, we're getting that addressed at the station if we can, or it's going out to City Garage if it's something more technical. The plan to try to transition the vehicles over a stagnate or kind of spread them out on a two-year process of purchasing the patrol fleet. We are looking and we have trying to figure out, and we think we've come up with a solution to be able to make sure that we're not putting the same amount of miles on the vehicles. If you look at our fleet consistently in our patrol fleet, most of those vehicles almost they're within a couple thousand miles of each other in the miles that are on them. So we're looking at setting up a process that the 1 through 8, 8 is a little bit different. Squad 8 is our tactical squad. So it's out if there's anybody who's a member of SWAT or the TAC team, they usually take that vehicle on a nightly basis. But the other ones, what we're trying to do is have the first couple vehicles taken, and then if for some reason those still would be out, then they'd take like number 4, number 5, and then as soon as the other vehicle comes in, we'd be taking that going back to number 1, number 2, or number 3. So we're hoping that'll take care of some of the issues of the longevity part of it. The other thing is we've really stressed with our officers that we have to do this. This is a plan that the city has tried and wanted to be done for a long period of time, and we have to do this. This is not we want to try this. We have to go through with it. So there has to be more discipline from our officers and from our supervisors to make sure that we're following through with that plan. The reason that right now is the ideal time for us to purchase these vehicles. In 2020, Ford is going to be changing the body style. So you're looking at potentially up to about an $8,000 difference in reference to the changeover cost with equipment and everything else. So right now, if we're going to go to this, where we're going to start stagnating vehicles over a 5-year period, this is the ultimate time to do it. Plus, we're saving on the money that we estimated we're almost saving, I believe it's a little over $40,000 from what was budgeted to what we're purchasing at this point.
And runtime, the continually running the vehicles?
Right. The runtime, we're addressing that by we actually are purchasing different batteries for the vehicles. These batteries are, they're not a standard cycle vehicle battery, and they're supposed to be lasting a lot longer. So we're hoping that with the new batteries that we're going to be able to have these vehicles turned off for a significant period of time before that we would be concerned with the battery. The other part of this is with the new fleet, we're looking at the MDCs. The new MDCs that we're going to be purchasing have the air card and different things that are actually embedded into the tablet itself. So there should be a less draw in the vehicle for electricity and different things. So those are going to be set up on a different, if it's a 3-hour window, they're going to be set up that way that they'll turn off in 3 hours, but they're going to be drawing less power than the old MDCs are in the car right now.
All right, Alderman Boyette, you have a question?
My question's been answered. My question's been answered. Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Bates.
And he covered my MDC battery issue, too.
Alderman Steele.
Yeah, so I guess I've got a couple questions. One is, when do you anticipate, if you're able to do as you plan and put most of the miles on a few of the vehicles, when do you anticipate the next purchase of vehicles to be needed?
You mean when we think about we have a 10-year plan with our vehicles on the changeover. The first 2 vehicles will be starting to be transitioned out in 2021, and then from that point forward, they'll be transitioned every year to a year until that cycle's done. So there should be a 3-year, after this is all said and done, there'll be a 3-year cycle for our vehicles that they're in service. And we're hoping that, obviously, when these Interceptors first came out, there was a lot of issues that were manufacturer issues, and a lot of those issues have been addressed. But even if we wait till 2020, that's going to be a brand new vehicle that's coming out. And anytime they have a new model come out, there's going to be a lot of other hurdles that are going to happen during that process of catalytic converters and different things like that. So we're hoping that in 2021, there's going to be 2 of those vehicles will be converted over. So it's only it's a 2-year window, but then from there forward, it's going to be 3 years.
I guess my other question is, if there are places like the courthouse, for instance, where I hear that sometimes officers are there for hours and cars are left running, has there ever been thought given to putting charging stations at some of those places, specifically so the cars can be plugged in while the officer is occupied for perhaps hours?
I don't know if we could do that with the county, but that's one thing that we may, if we have an issue that we're seeing that our squads are being parked at a location like Theta Clark for 5 or 6 hours at a time, that's a situation that we may be able to bring forward to them, and I'm sure they'll partner with us on that. The vehicles, these new vehicles are going to have chargers just like the old vehicles did. And part of the reason we're going to do that is because we want to make sure that even when the car is not being used, that we can plug it in and have a trickle charge, and that battery will continue to be charged.
Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. Since I've been on council, we've always had trouble with how to balance out the purchasing for these vehicles. And I was wondering, when we have this next plan of always take a number 1 vehicle if it's there, and then you can go to number 2. What sort of reporting can we have perhaps coming every 6 months or something to Public Services and Safety to say run hours or whatever on our vehicles, so we can see that it's actually stacking up nicely and we don't have to worry about buying more cars faster than
on the 15th and the 1st of every month, we actually provide the city garage with a list of all the squads and the mileage for those squads, and we can for sure make sure that we get that forwarded to you so you can see that.
Yeah, when we have the reports from the chief, it would be a good time to just throw that perhaps on the bottom. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman Coons.
Thank you. Just one more question. I mean, I don't want to try to solve this from this spot, but it just seems we run to an issue in trying to get just the right number of vehicles that we run them all the time, and then therefore, as much as we try, I'm not saying people aren't trying to do maintenance, I'm saying maybe we don't have enough vehicles. At some point, is there an analysis done that said, if we buy one more vehicle and able to swap these around and we can get these last another year, we do the cost savings and it actually saves the city money? I mean, some kind of an analysis that I think somehow we get stuck in the idea that this is the number of cars we need to have and utilize. Just trying to find a solution for that, and I don't have all the answers. But in this one other request, when we talk about different information, at least my understanding was last time I asked was there's basically we have GPS in all these vehicles. We know where they are at all the times. Mm-hmm. For me, if we're looking at information, I would love to see where our cars are over a year or month or some period of time. Get an idea of I hear the stories. The cars they're just sitting in one spot. We're not driving around. We've heard those before. I've never been able to have an answer for anybody because I haven't had any information to give them that says, no, I've seen the map, I've seen whatever, here's where they're going, here's something that shows that that these cars are out and about and used. I mean, if they're running 24/7, we should see a report that says, boy, they're out there. So there's just a couple things that would help me answer questions.
And that's something that I can reach out to the county. We're on the county CAD system, and we can monitor from our station. The problem is we would not want to have something public where we're posting where all of our squads are. I mean, that's from a liability standpoint from the city would be problematic.
That's why I'm saying, if it's a year kind of thing, it's almost a blurred map of, cover. I don't know how that would look.
I can reach out to the county and find out if that's something that we can provide.
And one other thing too about that is, we want the officers out of the police department, and we're having them now write the reports in the squad cars. So you're going to see them sitting at locations longer now, not because they're not working, but because they're doing the reports. And the reason for that is because we want them to be visible. Being at the police department isn't going to deter anyone from crime or speeding. So you'll now, especially now with the new MDTs coming and the new squads, they will be at the department much less doing reports, and in their squad cars much more. And then the second thing is, I emailed you guys last week, I think it was, or maybe this week, and I surveyed all 72 sheriffs. And out of those 72, I think I received 33 responses. And I've surveyed all of the PEG chiefs, and almost all of them have returned data to me. And next week, Sunday, we're meeting Sunday, and we're going to talk about what we're all doing, the batteries and how we're rotating cars. And because it's all over the board, it's from 1 year to 10 years, and some people lease, some people own. And we're trying to figure out which system is working the best for everybody. And it seems so far, this is putting the cart before the horse, but leasing unmarked cars and purchasing marked cars is what's working the best, because marked cars are being ran 24/7, and unmarked cars are detectives and chiefs and SROs. They're not used as much. So those are things that we're doing a big analysis of all this, and we'll have to you guys soon. Not tomorrow, but soon.
As I say, I do appreciate the changes and efforts you've been putting in. I've seen it over and over and over again. And while I have questions, I feel in a much better position with what you've been doing to move forward. And I do appreciate the efforts you guys have been putting in.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you for answering the questions. I'll just say 30 seconds here. I had some questions. I will tell you, I appreciate the administration efforts to try and address some of these questions that, the car is running all the time. And I've been bringing that up for 4 years, and so have others. I think this council and myself, we've been very good to addressing the officers' requests in that. Now they're being asked to play ball too. They came to us and asked if the city would consider all SUVs, smaller Impalas and things like that, the smaller car. These are their offices. They're where they work for 8 hours a day, and they're in that tight quarters. So this council was responsive, paid probably more money for those SUVs than regular cars, but I think they're paying off in the long run with regards to ergonomics of the officers, less back injuries and those types of things, and they get through the snow better, and they're able to utilize these vehicles better. So I think this administration is stressing to the officers that now they have to do their part, and can't always take quad one, the favorite, and rack up all the miles on that one, and things like that they're addressing, the batteries and those types of things. So, and the fact that they are going to look at, I've been kind of advocating for some time, it helps for two ways, in my opinion. It helps on keeping a continual of the staggering of the purchase of vehicles, keeps you always having new vehicles, number one, and number two, helps from the manager from a budgetary standpoint, where it doesn't have those highs and lows every so many years where you hit one of those years, and if you get stuck with something else like garbage trucks or something, that it could all come in 1 year. So I really think that at some point that staggering will help us from a budgetary standpoint. All right. All in favor of the motion to approve the purchase of 7 2019 Ford Police Interceptor vehicles as stated, will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. Roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. I'd just also like to say our condolences. I know Milwaukee PD lost an officer today, and Assistant Chief Sievert worked for Milwaukee PD for a while, but it's unfortunate. It's a sad day here in Wisconsin. Law enforcement all throughout the state and nation, so sorry to hear that. Chairman Bates.
Committee recommends council approve purchase of 9 Panasonic Toughbook CF33 MDCs and all necessary hardware and wiring at a total cost of $67,275, which is $7,475 each, with funding to come from the 2018 Capital Equipment Fund budget and the 2019 Capital Equipment Fund budget, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Lang. Discussion on this item. Alderman Bates?
Just to show you the difference, we do have, I believe, the 2 extra cars that we are not purchasing new, so that's why they're going to get the new equipment as well.
All right. Further comments? Questions? Seeing none, all in favor vote aye. All opposed vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. Item C is the regular Finance Personnel Committee meeting of January 7, 2019. Chairperson, Chairman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out from the regular Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of January 7th, 2019. Item number 1, deferred from the January 16th, 2019 council meeting. The committee recommends the council approve the 2019 intermunicipal agreement with the City of Appleton for dial-a-ride cost sharing.
And you so move. Okay. There's a motion by Alderman
So moved.
Erickson. Sorry, no? Alderman Bates moves. Second. Seconded by Alderman Stevenson. Any discussion or comments or questions? Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a question. We had asked for information from Assistant Planner Carol Casmore on the total ridership for Dial-A-Ride. And in 2016, the amount was 7,846, 2017, 8,523, 2018, 7,577. So it has dropped 1,000 rides from 2017. And she also commented in her memo to us with this information that in 2018, it was the first year that we tracked usage by participant communities, and we have not completed the year yet. With most of the usage compiled through August, the program is mostly used by Neenah residents, though Menasha residents used it at a higher rate than their share of total program participants. So my question on this for Director Hayes is, why can't we get the numbers and then each year assign the percentage accordingly based on the previous year? And why is it taking so long to get the numbers for 2018? She has the numbers for through August 2018, but we're already into February, and those numbers, as far as what I think, should be readily available. I don't know why they would be not available at this time.
Director Hayes.
I don't know that I can give you a definitive answer. I do know that rides are counted manually, so we count each ticket. So that obviously an issue for me from a staff perspective. So I can't answer why we don't have them for the end of the year. We've tracked, I believe, total rides, and I don't have those numbers in front of me, but we've track total rides, but breakdown is something we just started doing in the last 2 years.
Well, she said she had total ridership for Dial-A-Ride from 2016, but she said 2018 was the first year we tracked usage by participating communities, which does make sense for me because then you could assign the percentage that each community would owe based on the rides from the previous year. But we don't have the figures in from 2018 at this point. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's my understanding, right? So the budget is done in June. So we would be basing on the prior year is what you're suggesting?
Well, right now we're looking at approving this, so it would be nice if we would have current numbers. What's frustrating for me is we have numbers through August 2018, and we're already into February. Mm-hmm. There's got to be a way to get those numbers sooner than later.
Sure, we can allocate staff time to counting them. I mean, we have to get the tickets first from the provider, so they come in a big box, right? And then we manually count tickets. That's how it happens.
I would think it would not have to be top-level staff that would do that. I would think there would be somebody that...
No, our office manager does that.
Okay.
So that have year-end, we certainly, well, we're not going to have 18 in time for 19 budget, right? But we could have year-end 18 for the 20 budget. That makes sense?
Or for the approval of the intergovernmental agreement, which is happening.
Yeah, we'd be pretty close to that, correct? We should. Mm-hmm. That's correct.
So you would have, but we don't have those numbers for tonight.
No, we don't have the 18 numbers. They haven't been counted.
So in the future, going forward, we could get those numbers for the approval?
We can make an effort to do that, yes.
Okay, because this seems to come up every year. We want to know what the numbers are. What is the ridership? What percentage is being paid by Neenah? What percentage is being paid by Menasha? And it only makes sense to have accurate figures when we're making those percentages.
The best information you can have.
Yes,
Understood.
and right now we don't.
Understood.
Thank you.
Good question. Alderman Kunz.
Just a comment, because this has come up several times, but my understanding has been if we take a close look at those numbers and we apply them, we might pay more than we currently are. That was part of the analysis. The more we look at this and look at it and go, oh, Menasha is using less than we thought. We could the unintended consequences of having that kind of detail might be not in the city's best interest.
Yeah, it could, and understand that the numbers are estimates, right? So you can base it on prior years. That's probably all you have to go off of. I think Carol looks at her best estimate of what she projects going forward for the next year in terms of what we would expect. I would venture to guess that we've never hit that number exactly. So if we have less riders, the program costs us less. If we have more riders, it costs us more. There is a fund balance that is utilized to cover the difference if we go over the budget. But your answer is correct. The rate, that percentage, obviously is in flux from year to year.
Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, in her memo dated January 17th, 2019, she indicated that, contrary to what Alderman Kunz just said, that the ridership through August mostly is used by Neenah residents, which we knew, though Menasha residents used it at a higher rate than their share of the total program participation. So Alderman Kunz's comment that we might be paying more, we are paying more based on our participation. Correct?
I don't know that that's true. We pay by rides,
right?
Not by number of people that participate in the program. So the higher number of rides that Neenah residents undertake, if the contributions were made based exactly on rides, our ratio of payment would be higher than it is now. is my
Well, I'm not
estimate.
following her memo then, because what she stated is though Menasha residents use it at a higher rate than their share of total program participants.
That's participants. So if they have 10 participants and those 10 participants may each ride 10 times, right? So for 100 rides, Neenah may have 10 participants, but only 5 are riding, but those 5 take it for 25 times. So they utilize it 125 times. I think that's what that's saying. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe that's what she's saying. Is that so? The number of participants, those that are registered for the program in Neenah, Menasha, the number of is those that are registered. The percentage of registered users is that utilize the program is higher in Menasha than it is in Neenah. But the total number of rides is higher on the Neenah side than on
Because
the
we're a
Menasha.
larger city, I would assume that we would have the.
Well, it's because we have more riders. I
Right.
mean, we have more rides being utilized by a smaller percentage of the people that participate in the program.
Okay.
So, and then
My frustration with this is I'd like to have as much accurate information as possible, and I don't think we have that. So
you're only as good as the information is
I
only
know,
as
but
good as
at least-
estimates.
I understand that, but we're just kind of taking a stab in the dark here. So
All right. I just made myself a note, and it would seem to me that we always do this agreement in January of each year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, we would be able to have, if not right up to the end of 2018, closer.
Right,
So I made
absolutely.
myself a note, and we're going to make sure, we've said this before, but we're going to try and make sure next year we have more accurate, up-to-date information. I think that'll help all of us.
I think one other thing that would be helpful is if Carol Casmore would be able to attend the finance meeting or the city council meeting to explain it, so it doesn't have to be
Okay.
Director Kaiser or Director Hayes. I'm sorry, assuming what the statements would be.
That's probably a good idea, too. We do that throughout city government. That's probably a good idea. So I will say this. The Dial Ride program, as someone who's in the Dulles office, I see the people, what is Patty, see the people that are utilizing this program. And for many of those folks, that program is their lifeline around this community. It's not cheap, not inexpensive to provide these rides. A small segment of our population uses it, but it is their lifeline. To doctors, grocery store, but we want to make sure that we're paying what we're getting,
Our
what
fair
we're
share.
paid, getting what we're paying for. So I think that's fair.
Mhm.
Your questions are appropriate.
Thank you.
And I will just say this. 9 times out of those 10, those people are very appreciative when they walk out there, too. Just come across them and see these people and talk to them. I get it. Okay, there is a motion and a second. Excuse me. All in favor, vote aye. This is for the intermunicipal agreement with the city of Appleton for dial ride cost sharing. All in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 8-1. Right. Item D is the regular Finance Personnel Committee meeting of January 28th. Chairman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 1, the committee recommends council approve and accept the petition for annexation of 14.516 acres located at Lone Arc Drive / Paintbrush Drive in the town of Neenah. Ordinance number 2019-03 to be acted on following a report from the Plan Commission. Item number 2, the committee recommends council authorize the appropriate, item number 2, the committee recommends council authorize the appropriate staff to acquire 502 Monroe Street at a purchase price of $147,000 for the purpose of stormwater management, with funding for the acquisition assumed to be provided from the Stormwater Utility Fund, pending additional investigation on the potential of using CDBG funding, and that city staff investigate the potential of Habitat for Humanity moving the home as opposed to demolishing it. And I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Coons. Discussion on this item. Questions? Seeing none, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. Call machine. The motion passes 9-0.
Item number 3, the committee recommends council authorize the appropriate staff to acquire 886 South Commercial Street at a purchase price of $45,000. The funding source for the purchase shall be CDBG funds, and I so move.
Motion by Alderman Erickson,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Steele. Comments or questions on this purchase? I think just for folks who are watching or whatever, this is the former RU Empty building, correct?
That's
Next to the
correct.
grocery store. So a small building that's kind of landlocked with parking and things like that. So we are trying to be aggressive in cleaning up some of the properties in this city, and we're able to use community development block grant funds to do it. Bates.
Grocery store, you mean
Piggly
where?
Wiggly.
Yeah, the antique places now.
It's an antique store.
Right.
When I was a Jay's potato chip guy, it was a country grocery store. Back in the old days. All right, there's a motion and a second to authorize the appropriate staff to acquire 886 South Commercial Street, a price of $45,000. All in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote no. Using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
Item number 4, the committee recommends council authorize the appropriate staff to acquire 1225 and 1229 South Commercial Street for a total purchase price of $157,000. The funding source for the purchase shall be CDBG funds, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Steele. Questions on this purchase? Is the property that houses currently the trio on Commercial Street, and then a home next. All in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote no. Using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0.
Item number 5, the committee recommends council approve amended policy 2013-1, policy on procedures and payments for repairs on private sanitary sewer laterals, with additional language clarifying that that city properties served by non-city utilities or sanitary districts are not eligible for this program, and added a definitions for partial replacement. Staff is also directed to develop a sewer credit program similar to the TARF waiver for those properties that have had a special assessment for sanitary sewer lateral replacement in the past 5 years, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Boyette. Discussion on this item. Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. I've talked about this at nauseum to the council, not necessarily on camera, but in committee and in committee of the whole. First of all, just to kind of backstep a little bit, this seems almost like two separate motions, but because I don't have a problem with the first half of it, just the second half. The memo that we received from Director Kaiser about this new, I guess I'll call it a utility credit for ease of understanding, does not, in my opinion, doesn't go near far enough. This is, if they get the credit, or I'll just say the most, for 5 years up to,
it'll be a total of like a little over $230. So that I feel like, and I know it obviously it has budget implications for the city, but it certainly has more devastating budget implications for the residents. So I just don't think this went far enough. So I'll be voting against that one. Although I'm not against the first part of the motion. I don't know why both of those things are in there. But anyway, I'll be voting against it.
If you'd like to split the question, I think this motion's probably would be allowable to be correct. If you'd like to split the question at
Sure.
after the word replacement.
Yeah,
and then
before the word staff. Yeah, can we split it right there?
That would be acceptable.
I'll move to split this up after the words partial replacement and before the word staff is also directed. And I'll make that.
There's a motion to split the correct question and have the first part of the paragraph as outlined stop after the word replacement before staff, correct?
Like that? No. So we're going to be doing the first part
So
first.
we will now be talking about the first part, okay?
We have to vote. We have to
Gotta
vote.
have the vote. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So any discussion on the motion? Split the question. Alderman Kuhn.
I guess I'm just wondering what the purpose is. I mean, it could be a motion to amend any portion of this. I'm not sure what dividing it does for us.
They're two different subjects completely.
One's the policy. The other one's a piece of the policy, which again could be amended.
No, it's two different things.
Okay.
No, it's acceptable for the council to split the question to divide up the consideration of the two provisions, but it takes a positive vote of the council.
Mm-hmm.
So the question that you'll be voting on is the splitting of the question, as I outlined. Everyone okay? Knows where we're cutting this off here? All in favor of splitting the question, vote aye. All opposed, vote no. That motion passes 8-1 to split the question. So now the motion becomes first part of that, correct?
Alderman Erickson, do you want to do that?
Sure.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that, well, do I need to
Matter is already before.
It's already before the
I don't need to redo
body
that.
because you did it. She just split that.
Okay.
So we're
original
voting on the
question.
first
So
part,
You're voting on the first
right?
5 lines of that. It will end after the period after replacement.
Okay.
Correct?
So Alderman Erickson makes the motion?
I did already.
Okay, okay. So we're just voting now.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless there's
Right
further
now,
discussion.
there's discussion on the first part of
Yep.
the question.
Thank you. All right. First, before I go too far here, because people at home are going to be somewhat confused, I think I'm going to have Director Kaiser just explain what we're doing here and the fact that, this council has already taken action on street assessments for road reconstruction. The council had asked staff to look at what we could do for sanitary sewer lateral. This is on private property, so I just want to point that out.
Okay. The direction from the council as we were going through the discussions on the transportation assessment replacement fee were to look at the next leg of the stool, which was the sanitary sewer lateral assessment charges. We had a number of discussions with Finance Committee about the advisability of doing anything and then what kind of alternatives were there toward offering some cost relief to the property owners that have utility construction work done on their streets. The sewer lateral being a piece of their private property in effect that affects our overall sanitary sewer system. There's a joint interest in making sure that those are in good repair. And so we had outlined several options or discussed several options with the finance committee, ranging from what most communities in this area do, which is 100% assessable cost and requiring full replacement, ultimately landing on an approach that is similar to what one or two communities have tried. They've done more of a carrot and stick approach, offering an incentive for the property owners to do the full replacement. As we discussed it with committee, the need is for that full replacement to happen. So if we're going to make that our standard of work now on our utility projects, our sanitary sewer projects, then given the benefit that offers us from a sanitary sewer utility standpoint and reducing infiltration and inflow into the system, we can offer a cost share on that. And where we settled was a 50% cost share. That would be everything from the sewer main up to and including the reconnection in the basement or in the foundation for the homeowner. And that's the policy that you have before you. It was the original policy was drafted in 2013, so we really are just revising that to reflect the additional utility participation and the cost for that work.
And then I just want to point out the second part of this question, then, which we're talking in the first part, is simply to asking staff to develop sewer credit.
That's correct. That was just the motion out of the committee was to develop it. It wasn't a committee endorsement of that credit policy in any way.
So
no.
we split the question, but when we get there, I'll talk more about it. But it's not to implement it, to develop. Alderman Coons.
I just want to say, to me, as we start this process, looking at roads, my hope, I think, with several people, were to hope to eliminate special assessments altogether. But I think as we looked at I&I, the groundwater that seeps into our sanitary pipes, the numbers were staggering, at least for me. We spend over $5.5 million in expenses every year on our sanitary systems at utility, and over half, the majority, over 50% of what flows through those pipes is I&I. It's water running in. That's incredible. I mean, that goes to everything about oversizing pipes to deal with it, to lift stations, to all the different things we need to do to deal with those things, not including neighbors' basements getting flooded with sanitary, with the sewer backing up because so much water is overflowing, not including the fact that we go and pump out water out of our sanitary into our stormwater that runs straight to the lake. That's your sanitary running straight into the lake. Which we have to do time to time because so much water comes rushing in, particularly in storms. So the need was huge. And so to address that, normally we just do a partial lateral replacement, which was already part of what we did. But it became very clear that we needed to do the whole thing. As Director Kaiser had said before, his estimation, at least 50% of our I&I is coming in through these sanitary lines. We go do roads and people don't want to update those because they already have so many other costs, and so they don't get updated, and water's rushing in. And so to solve that, I think we came to a good compromise in that we're looking at doing the pipe all the way to the house, which was going to help all ratepayers eventually as we're reducing that number down. And in doing so, there is some cost. We can't eliminate the special assessment completely, and I think the compromise was to come together. And so, in a sense, the person directly benefiting will pay half of that, and all the ratepayers will pay the other half. So I think overall it was a great compromise. There was some talk at committee, and I know there was some issue about newer houses and older houses, and at least from my concern, there's two different things going there. One of them is both the TARF and this. We did not take into consideration lineal feet in the front yard or size of homes, or none of that came in there. So you could argue that some of the older houses and the 50-foot lots and smaller houses are paying the same amount as maybe some newer homes with a 120-foot lot and a bigger house. But ultimately, it's going to all average out. It's also a replacement. So every house will have their pipe replaced at some point. 75 years, overall life if everything goes smoothly. At the same time, in every house is not immune to the fact that people might take their sump pump and go directly into the sanitary sewer line, which is illegal, but one of our problems, or their downspouts that go directly into our sanitary sewer. That can happen in any home, new, old, or whatever. And those things contribute to a great deal to the I&I that we have. So ultimately, I know I'm being long-winded here, I'm sorry, but I think it's some great work that Dr. Kaiser's done to put this all together and to deal with a lot of difficult things and doing it in a different way than has probably been done in the state and that we've done in the past. And I think it goes to what we're trying to do, that we're trying to find the best way to manage this, and we're not afraid to shy away from the tough decisions and the tough work that needs to be done. It's tough. It's private property. But when you start looking at the numbers and that we have to deal with it, and it hasn't been dealt with before. So I think this is a great process. It's not perfect by any means, but I think it's a great compromise, and I hope everyone supports it.
All right, thank you for your comments. Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. This is just rhetorical. My nay vote is it's preemptive. Just because, well, you already know why, but this is a little bit unusual in that we are directing staff to come up with this plan, but yet we got the plan already. So that's not how we normally go about that.
The plan is not before the council.
It is not before the council, but he has sent it to us early. It's a little bit unusual to have it already and to have had time to digest it, but yet now we're just directing staff. It's not how we normally do it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's probably wonderful to have this, but it almost seems like it's a done deal. Because we have this email.
It has to go through committee and come back to
I get that. But it's not normally the way we do it. We don't normally get it way before committee to look at it like this. So that's just all I'm saying. It's almost like
Just understand that the question before the council right now is the approval of the revised.
Staff is directing. I get it. But it just seems by getting it so early.
The question before the council at this present time is the motion to.
Yes, direct staff.
No.
Well, no, I understand the first part.
No, it's the first
The
part.
second part is to direct staff, and that's what I was addressing.
The issue before the council right now is the approval of the revised policy 2013-2, I believe.
The language, yes.
I think your comments will be appropriate.
But we were also discussing this situation during this, so I don't understand why we did that either.
Okay, thank you. Director Easker would like.
Yeah, just again, on a financial end to clarify, and it ties into what we will be talking about as well in a second, but I think it's important that we explain what's going on. As Director Kaiser explained, the compromise here was that moving on into the future, all people when their laterals are being replaced will have the lateral replaced mandated from the middle of the street all the way into the house, that basically from the middle of the street to the curb and then from the curb into the house. As he explained, that's an additional cost that the city ratepayers will incur because we're eliminating special assessments for folks to pay for half of it. And in doing so, we are adding about $250,000 to the ratepayers on an annual basis for the cost of that. That has to be made up somehow and will be made up through the rates. That has been calculated by Director Kaiser to cost the average ratepayer about $23.40 per year. That number is important because that is theoretically a potential amount of credit that will go back to those people who have, in the past 5 years, have had special assessments on sanitary sewer laterals in a way to help them offset that to some degree. But it's important that we know where that $23.40 comes from, and that the typical sanitary sewer user will expect to see that increase in their rates. They won't see it specifically as a dollar amount, but it will just be embedded in the sanitary sewer rates that they pay on into the future, just to make sure everyone understands nothing is free. There is a cost to the ratepayers to be able to eliminate special assessments and to mandate the replacement of all sanitary sewer laterals moving from the middle of the road all the way into the house. So I just wanted to clarify that.
It'd be safe to say that at some point finite end to that. At some point, we have the II.
In theory, that's correct, but I mean, even
not in your tender.
as Alderman Coons mentioned, even the pipe materials that we're putting in now that are long-lasting and durable, they have a life, and so eventually they will need replacement too. So
this policy is an obligation on the future rate pay.
To some degree.
To some degree. Alderman.
Thank you, Mayor. So just to clarify my mind, where Director Kaiser was saying that some communities have done a carrot and a stick to entice people, this is an actual mandatory replacement, and then they get 50% back of what it will cost. So in a sense, by making it mandatory, it helps the rest of the city, because if we know that your pipe is bad and you decide I really don't want to do it, you're now required to do it, which helps the entire I&I situation.
that's correct.
Thank you.
Comment, question. Alderman Stevenson.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Alderperson Kuntz made reference to the fact that some didn't support the concept because of the reality that the homes in our district are newer and probably not quite in line yet for repair. And his comment about that has caused me to change my position. That and the benefit to the I&I project that the city will realize has caused me to change my mind. I did not support the motion in committee, but I will support it.
I also, I had a little heartburn over this the night that we discussed it also, because while my very layman's general concept on this was, the transportation assessment plan, I believe we all use your roads. Roads and you use my roads, everyone should pay for it. I had a little bit more trouble of they don't use your utilities. Your water, why should I pay for it? I worry about I paid for some people paid for theirs, and now they're being asked to pay for someone else who wasn't responsible maybe, or didn't have the financial means, whatever, to fix their problem. Some of the same arguments, though, that Christopher brought up and other people brought up about the bigger picture and the I&I problem that we're all paying for, also causes me to reflect and say, there's a big picture here, and we need to develop a way, but it does come with a cost. We need to know that. And at some point, we just raise We raised people's utility bills slightly for the benefit of everyone. TARF. Now we're going to raise utility bills potentially again. And you look at your utility bill, smallest component of your utility bill is the water. All the other charges that have been put on there for a lot of reasons over time because of levy limits, other reasons. So that aspect of your bill just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So somewhat of a tax shift. So, but at the end of the day, I think it might be a good place to land and a good compromise. So all right, good discussion. There is a motion and a second. We have split the question. The first motion is committee recommends council approve amended policy 2013-1, policy and procedures, payment for repairs in private sanitary sewer laterals with additional language clarifying that city properties served by non-city utilities or sanitary districts are not eligible for this program, and added definitions for partial replacement, period. All in favor of that motion, vote aye. All opposed, vote no. That motion passes 9-0. So that because we split the question, the next part of that is also.
There should be a
subsequent motion.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion on the second part of the original question?
I'd like to make a motion on the second part of the question.
Okay. Alderman Erickson moves. Seconded by Alderman Lang. That motion would read, staff is also directed to develop a sewer credit program similar to the TARF waiver for those properties that have had a special assessment for sanitary sewer lateral replacement in the past 5 years. Correct? That's what's on there. Okay. There's a motion and a second. Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to head off the issue here, even though there might have been a memo written on the one way of doing it, it doesn't mean that that's the way it will be done when it comes out of committee. So I just want to say that because someone got ahead of the game and did his work early, I don't see any reason to not allow staff to bring this forward, as well as if this is a benefit to people, we don't want to stop it just because someone was
Well, this
super
is
efficient.
This is a new directive because sometimes the council says, where's that memo? Where's that memo? So we've directed the staff to get them out ahead of time. So it is a little different, but you're right. I mean, what comes out of committee, maybe something totally different. There is a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All right, seeing none. All in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 8-1.
And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much for your report. Item number 10 is reports of special committees, liaisons, various special projects committees. Item A, the regular plan commission meeting of January 29, 2019. Council Representative Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. The minutes for this meeting can be found on the city's website. Item number 1, the committee recommends council approve annexation number 213, ordinance number 2019-03, and the property also receive an R1 single-family residence district zoning classification, and I would so move.
The motion by Alderman Lang.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Coons. Alderman Bates, question?
Thank you, Mayor. If this is the one I'm thinking of, this is the one on the east side in the township that's kind of surrounded by the city. Won't we have another? I mean, the keyhole is getting smaller.
This is not that one.
Oh, which one is this one now?
This is on the end of Lone Oak, north end of Lone Oak. It's west side of the city, adjacent to Eagle Crest subdivision and north of Nature Trail.
Thank you. This is Lone Oak.
Any other discussion? See no other discussion. All in favor of the motion, vote aye. All opposed, vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. Thank you for your report. Item number B, Board of Public Works meeting of January 29th, 2019. Vice Chairman Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mayor. The minutes from this meeting can be found on the city website. There are 2 informational items and 1 council action item to read this evening. First informational item, the board approved change order number 2 for contract 1-18 miscellaneous sewer and water main construction and street construction on Andrew Avenue, Richard Avenue, Geiger Street, and Whiting Court to Dave Tenner Corporation, Green Bay, in the amount of $37,225.09. Item B, the board approved change order number 2 for contract 18-01W for chemical storage and feed modifications in the amount of $2,685, and this is at our water treatment plant. The council action item, the board recommends council approve final payment for contract 1-18 miscellaneous sewer and water main construction and street construction on Andrew Avenue, Richard Avenue, Geiger Street, and Whiting Court, Dave Tenner Corporation, Green Bay, in the amount of $31,620.32, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Hillstrom.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Bates. Approve final payment, contract 118. Alderman Coons?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a curiosity. Is this, they normally come to us this late? I'm thinking this is last year's roads.
Director Kaiser?
Yeah, it really depends on when the staff and the contractor can meet to hammer out any of the discrepancies or differences that we have in our quantity measurements versus what they put together. So typically we like to close them out a little earlier, but I've had them close out later than this before.
All right. Is this then, I mean, from an accounting standpoint, this all falls in last year, or is this coming to this year?
It would say that again.
I'm just wondering how this is handled from an accounting standpoint, and that I suppose it's all coming out this one.
Right. Yeah. What we do have, with contracts like that, we actually book the cost. The contract is the expenditure. The payments are made as part of that contractual obligation. But in terms of what year it ends up in, when we book the contract is the year that the expenditure.
Thank you.
Alderman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm always interested in, is this one of these unit contracts that varies based on the number of feet we actually end up doing?
Yeah, this is a unit price contract.
Yeah, okay. So I'm on the Board of Public Works agenda items here. And our final payment, we're authorizing, this action authorizes the final payment, $31,620.
That's correct.
I'm curious about the original contract amount that was authorized and how much we ended up paying.
The original contract amount on this contract was $1,199,000. My copy here isn't great. $412.88.
Just under 1.2 million.
Just under 1.2. There were 2 change orders previously approved that come to in the neighborhood of $53,700. And then the final payment is $1,263,000.
So you're nowhere in your Board of Public Works agenda item do we list the actual contracted amount. You just have a summary of all the payments where I find the 1.25 million, but I don't see the original contract amount. I'm always curious because we budget X number of dollars, then we appropriate the expenditure of 1.19, but it's a unit contract, so we can go up to 1.6 if the units are. That's the number of units we do.
Sure. On the actual documents that go along with the agenda packet.
Yeah.
There is I don't know if this form has a title on it, but it's basically the account summary. It shows each of the accounts that are being drawn from.
Yep.
There's a header in one column called contract breakdown.
See contract amount 1.199412.
Yeah, that's the breakdown of the original contract.
Okay.
We do get that.
Yeah, okay.
Committee knows if it's under or over.
Yeah, I have to apologize. I didn't do my homework before this to check it, and I was trying to check it now.
Was that not in the packet? Because normally, if it's a final payment, we put that same document from Public Works in the council packet. Was it not in the council packet?
We don't get a packet.
I didn't look in the count.
It's on the iPad.
It's in,
Agenda
yeah,
that we
you have to go to the electronic file to go find the Board of Public Works agenda and look at it.
No, in the packet that went out on Friday for council with the council agenda. One of the PDFs that's attached to that is the Board of Public Works final payment document from the Board of Public Works agenda.
Page 65?
Is it there?
I think so. One of them's upside down, actually.
But it's
part of the 75.
a little hard to find.
Okay, then I apologize
Oh, that's
if it was
fine.
there. Yeah, okay.
All right, good.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, that's good. Thank you. So the question becomes, let me just find it here. Back. This is to approve final payment for contract 1-18. Amount of $31,620.32 to Dave Tenner Corporation. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. That motion passes 9-0.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Reports from some committees and commissions. Landmarks Commission, Alderman Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. The Landmarks Commission did not meet in January, so there's no report.
Thank you. The Sustainable Neenah Committee, Alderman Coons.
I have no report this time either.
The Bid Board, Alderman Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of items to report from the January 15th bid board meeting. There was discussion regarding having a 2018 audit or a financial review. After discussion, the consensus of the bid board members was to complete a full audit every 3 years and have the review in the off years for that. A couple of items from the public relations and marketing part of the bid board. The Luminary pop-up night was a huge success, very popular downtown. The Very Neenah Christmas was very successful, though attendance numbers were slightly down due to the weather. The Warm Your Heart event will be held this Saturday, February 9th in downtown, so don't miss that. Ultimate Ladies' Day is also April 13th. So put that on your calendar as well. One other item is the historical box wraps are being designed for the boxes at the corner of Church Street and Wisconsin Avenue. So look for those to come out probably by late spring, early summer. And, also just one other quick plug, the Future Neenah February 1st Network Neenah, or February 5th Network Neenah event at Barrel 41 last night, sponsored by Stellar Blue, was a very successful event and a lot of fun. So go and patronize Barrel 41. It was a great event. So that concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. And also the Berkshire Mallory Museum report from Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just an update to Alderman Lang's report. I was on the Future Neenah website, and the Warm Your Heart event is sold out. So if you are thinking of doing that, it is sold out. Just a quick report from the Berkshire Mallory Museum of Glass. They had their board meeting in January. I would like to encourage everyone, there's just a short time to do this. The current exhibit is Sharper Edges, Women Working on the Edge of Glass. And what this is an exhibit that features the work of female artists exploring social issues. So if you have a chance to visit that exhibit, it's only there until February 17th, and I would encourage you to do so. There are many activities on the Berkshire Mallory Museum of Glass website, and I encourage you to visit that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. There are no petitions. There is one, I'm sorry. Brought in tonight, I'm sorry. Clerk Sturm.
The petition was filed today in the clerk's office. It's the petition for the petition of qualified property owners for direct annexation to the city. This was the same petition that we did back a month or so ago. there was a revision to the type of petition that was filed. So this petition was received today. We're going to send out the letter tomorrow to get the impact reports, and this will be going to the February 18th Finance Committee and the February 18th Special Council. So, yes. So,
can you identify the property, Director Hayes, for the council members?
Sure, this is the salvage yard, Lawrence Salvage Yard.
So
Go ahead, Alderman Stevenson.
council's already taken action to direct the annexation petition to the appropriate committees.
If I could, yeah. So you have an action coming up here to withdraw that petition. There was a technical issue with the original petition that was submitted. We had to modify both the area being annexed and the type of annexation because of the railroad right away. So the petition that was submitted today includes in essence the same area, but the railroad area to be annexed has been reduced.
Jim, is that we'll accept this petition, send it to the appropriate committees, and then action shortly after this will withdraw the.
And I will also add that we would be moving forward with a quicker review, since in essence the review has already been done. So impact reports is an example from the departments. I think Jerry's is the only one that has a slight modification to it as it relates to stormwater because we're bringing in less area, but all of the other impact reports are essentially status quo. So it will move on a quicker timeline than we typically would see with an annexation petition.
So the topic and the annexation request is one that the council has already acted upon. There was a slight revision because part of the railroad was included in the original position. The railroad is asked not to be part of the annexation, and that's why changing request. Okay. Okay. So there is this petition. Is there a motion to refer this to the appropriate committees?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Alderman Stevenson moves. Alderman Coons seconds. That move these to the appropriate committees, this petition. Alderman Stevenson.
Okay, just so I'm clear, we're talking about the salvage yard property now, right? And the ordinance that's referenced on the screen is 2019-01, which according to our agenda is a annexation request of 8.85 acres on Bayview.
it was missing from the agenda. So I can either amend it or I can just do it manually.
I don't care as long as everybody knows.
Yep.
So
I will fix it in the final outcome.
Okay, not a big deal. Is there an item A that we skipped regarding Bayview?
That ordinance is coming up under new business.
Under unfinished.
Under unfinished business. I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought that's where we were. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We were just on petitions.
Right now we're on petition presentation.
Gotcha. All right. Very good. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. Right now we're on presentation of petitions, and Alderman Stevenson has made a motion to send this petition to the appropriate committee, seconded by Alderman Coons. Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. So does that mean under unfinished business B, that motion is gone?
No, that will have to be withdrawn.
Okay, so that part's gone.
We'll take care of that one.
Right.
We're not on that Roman numeral 13 yet.
I know we're not, but I thought this was exactly what we were doing. But this is putting another one out there, and then we'll get to unfinished business and we'll remove the one that we had out there?
Correct.
Okay.
Government. Okay. All in favor of the motion to refer this petition to the appropriate committees will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0. Are there any council directives anyone would like to vote? If not, we will now move on to item number 13, which is unfinished business. Ordinance number 2019-01, annexing 0.85 acres of land along Bayview Road. Is there a motion on that?
Move to approve.
There's a motion by Alderman
Second.
Lang, seconded by Alderman Coons. Discussion on that motion.
Yes.
This is property on Bayview Road. Alderman Bates.
Yes, so Director Hayes, so there is a keyhole there currently. The keyhole is just getting smaller.
Yes.
And
This will reduce it.
Got it. Now, the land that is left, it's like, is there a barn and things on there? Is that the one?
No, the barn is in. There's some property between this one and the barn. There's actually the barn, a lot that's all in the city. There's between that southerly lot and this property, there is a few properties along Bayview. There's also one along Skyview that's still in the town of Neenah.
And those are all connected. I mean, the utilities, everything else should be all set already.
Not necessarily. I
Okay,
mean,
'cause
there's
that is the area-
utilities available in the street. Laterals aren't necessarily there.
And that is the area that we had problems with in Skyview, and so we're going to have to take extra care when we put that one through. Is that correct?
Extra what?
Well, I'll refer to Director Kaiser. As we seem to have, every time we built a new house, the previous house got.
Yeah, the rock out in that area has led to a number of issues with some pump issues, drainage. So that will all be part of anything that's built out in this area.
And I'm hoping that the station that we upped with the electrical underground work should help that whole area out.
That's been working very well.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Alderman Stevenson.
Okay, I'm just a little confused. The reason we're dealing with this item now under unfinished business versus other annexation requests, which would typically be reported to the Finance Committee, is because we withheld this at the January 16th meeting pending an impact letter. So the question I want to ask then, I'm assuming then that we've received the impact letter?
Yes. Deputy Director Schmidt indicates we did.
Okay, well, we did. I mean, that just, it says we're pending it, and it's good to know that we got it.
Good. Right. Anyone else? Any other questions? That was Deputy Director's request that we waited till. Good. All in favor of the motion, vote aye. All opposed, vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. Moving on to new business. First item will be the discussion of the March 6th. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Yep. Yeah, after all that, I will go right by it. Item number B.
So, is it,
Alderman Stevenson.
Is it appropriate then to make a motion to withdraw the original annexation request 2019-02? So moved.
Second.
Yes.
Alderman Stevenson moves to withdraw the original petition for annexation of Lawrence Salvage Yard that was presented on December 19, 2018. Alderman Bates seconded. Any further questions? That the petitioner's request. So all in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote no. Use the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. That brings us on to item number 14 under new business, discussion on the March 6th council meeting. You all received my memo some time ago. We were just looking at schedules, and it became apparent that there's the March 6th meeting may be difficult for approximately 5 members of this council and staff, including staff. So we talked to staff and looked at some alternatives. There has been one little hiccup since we talked. Everyone had sent back their notice saying that the new schedule would work for them. Appreciate that. Director Hayes has one issue that has to be closed by, Director Hayes, go ahead, has to be closed by February 22nd, as I understand.
Yeah, we have the two items related to the Lawrence Salvage Yard acquisition, the annexation, which was submitted today, and the approval of the Tax Incremental Finance District 9 amendment. That'll happen at that same evening.
So because of that, the contract that has to be done by the 22nd, we would like to have what I had laid out. February 12th would be on a Tuesday would be the Public Works and Services Committee meeting. The 12th.
Public Services and Safety.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And I'll get it right sooner or later. So that would be next week on its normal night.
Okay.
February 8th, but we would not have the Monday night finance. We would have the Monday night finance meeting, and everyone has agreed to this, on Monday, February 18th. The following Monday would be the finance meeting. There would be no council meeting on the 20th, just so folks know we would cancel that. But on that February 18th meeting, because we have this deadline of this property, we would have the finance meeting at 6 p.m., and we would take those two items up, and then we would temporarily recess the finance committee and go into a council meeting, short council meeting just for that item. And then we would go back and finish up finance committee. That would all be on the 18th. So the suggestion would be to start at 6 p.m. with finance. Is that okay with the chairperson? And then probably 6:30 or upon recess of finance, when we're taking these issues up, talked about, then we would have a short council meeting, and then we would go back to the finance committee and do the rest of the finance committee business. That would be the 18th. We would not, no need to have February 20th council meeting. We would move that council meeting to February 27th. And because then we were doing the business on February 27th, there would not be a need, staff tells me, to have the March 6th meeting, which seems to be some bodies are going to be missing. Okay? We would not have the 20th of February, nor would we have March 6th. We would consolidate those two meetings into February 27th. Then we would go back on our regular schedule of committee meetings on March 11th and 12th, and council meeting on March 20th.
Mayor, just to make for a smoother process, the special council meeting on the 18th would be at 6:15, not 6:30, because it's the later of the 6:30 or the adjournment. And likely the committee meeting will take a very short period to deal with the issue. So to make sure that we could flow on it, we would call the special council meeting at 6:15, not 6:30.
Or upon.
Yeah.
I just don't want to cut short. Okay. All right. That's fine. Alderman Lindrum.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a quick question for the city attorney. Since we switched the council to the 27th and we have public services on the 26th, right? So I have that wrong.
I don't believe that meeting will be.
Yeah, I assume
Are we
would
canceling that
cancel-
one?
I would assume we would cancel the 26th.
As with the finance on the 25th.
Because I was just, okay, I didn't know that. And isn't there some rule about the committee meetings needing to be a certain amount of time before the council meetings?
We're not having them.
Okay, so they are both canceled formally. Okay.
No need to have them. Thanks. So that's the outline of that's okay with everyone. We will send those notices out. Okay?
I will send those notices tomorrow. I'll cancel the meetings that are canceled, so it'll go onto your calendars that way. I'll put up the tentative schedule for the 18th, if that is what you decide to do. I'll do all that tomorrow, so the calendar should reflect all that.
Okay, thank you very much for your indulgence on that. Under other new business then, any announcements, questions that may legally come before the council? I have a couple, but Alderman London, go ahead.
I was just going to ask Patty to talk about the upcoming primary election, so people have time to research the school board candidates, the only thing on the ballot.
When is there early voting, things like that?
We currently have voting in our office, our normal office hours, 7:30 to 4:30 Monday through Thursday, and 7:30 to 4 on Friday. Next Thursday and Friday, on the 14th and the 15th, we will be open till 5 p.m. Like Carrie said, there's one office on the ballot, and that is the school board member. They have 8 candidates that they need to narrow down to 6 for the 3 offices that are up this year.
Okay, I just want to be clear that the election itself is on the 19th, February 19th.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Question, Alderman Bates?
Thank you, Mayor. I have one wrench in the planning system here. We have voted to put the public hearing for the street near the high school or the middle school on March 20th. That was in our motion. Public hearing. Vacate the street.
March 20th is fine.
I thought it says no. Oh, February 20th. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Sorry.
Okay.
20th. Oh.
Well, it's with 28 days in February, the day numbers are the same.
That's right.
Every year.
Took me 60 years
Except
to
for every 4 years.
Every fourth year.
Every 4 years, it doesn't work out.
Took me 60 years. All right. Couple things. The newsletter Gretchen sent out to department heads. It's ready to go to print. We're proofreading that. That'll be sent out by the end of February. I would like to thank the Bemis Corporation, Bemis Company. They had me over. And unfortunate is that Bemis has now moved out of Tower 1, and they've consolidated some of their operations to the Innovation Center in the Industrial Park and their Oshkosh facility. So they've taken a lot of those people that were in the Tower 1, and they invited me over to look at all the Neenah art that they had. They had a whole bunch of Neenah art works with regards to the towers, the harbor, Riverside Park, the lighthouse. They had some really neat pieces. And Pat is going to be picking all that art up tomorrow. They're donating to the city. So there'll be some new artwork gracing the walls of City Hall that Bemis has donated. So I just to them. You'll see that up there very, very. You've noticed the new Neenah flag that's been put in a case by Pat Fisher as you walk in the council chambers. There's a plate being done that is going to explain that flag was part of the flag that went to Afghanistan with some of our Neenah students, former Neenah students who were in the same platoon or whatever you call it. And that flag has been at 3 or 4 different bases in Afghanistan and the area. So there'll be a plate on there explaining that. So between that and the new artwork that's coming, you'll notice a little bit of difference here. And we want to just thank, like I said, Bemis for allowing that. So with that, that's all I have because it's important. One of our local businesses has nickel. You buy an ice cream cone and you get one for a nickel from the 6th to the 10th. So important to get done by 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock for me. So am I allowed to say who that was, Jim? I bet
it's Dairy Queen.
There. So from the 6th to the 10th, there's nickel ice cream cones. But all right. Anyone else have any other information?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We are adjourned.
Can I make a informal motion to authorize more money for
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.